after some cryptic Instagram posts by Brandon Aiyuk and a lot of question marks surrounding his future with the 49ers, many people are speculating that the 49ers may look to explore a trade for the young star receiver. Now, this is a very interesting move. They are currently negative $12 million in cap space with some pretty big free agents this year, but also looking to the future. They've got some major contracts that they are already paying. Could the Niners look to move a guy who was coming off a 1,300-yard season and the best season of his young career? That's what we're going to be going over today, and we're going to be discussing the 5 landing spots for Brandon Aiyuk, kind of what they could be getting back in exchange. And I'm really excited about this video. So if you guys are interested, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you are new, and let's go ahead and get into it. So Brandon Aiyuk has played 4 seasons for the 49ers, but he's coming off by far his best year with the team, finishing with 75 receptions for 1,342 yards and 7 touchdowns. The 49ers obviously made a Super Bowl, but in big parts due to Brandon Aiyuk's heroics in the NFC Championship game against the Detroit Lions. He has turned himself into one of the 10 or 12 best receivers in the game, and I think he has separated himself from Deebo Samuel as the best receiver in San Francisco. So why would the Niners look to move him? Well, they're already negative $12 million in cap space, and they're going to have to make some big decisions coming up. You've still got a major contract that you're paying Trent Williams, who is $29 million this season. Deebo is making $26 million. Eric Armstead, $25. Fred Warner, $25. You've got Javon Hargrave, who's making $33. And Bosa just got a big contract extension as well. Brandon Aiyuk is on contract for $14 million. And if they were to trade Brandon Aiyuk, that would clear up $14 million in cap space. On top of that, next season, you're going to have to pay a contract extension to Brock Purdy, and that won't be cheap. They aren't going to be able to obtain this superstar squad that they have now. And we've seen the 49ers do this in the past with DeForest Buckner. They recognized that the cap was getting out of hand and they had to make a move, so they sent DeForest Buckner to the Indianapolis Colts for the number 12 pick, and they ended up using that pick on Javon Kinlaw, who didn't exactly pan out, but I could see a very similar situation brewing here with Brandon Aiyuk. And there are a lot of teams that feel they are a receiver away from making a big push. So which 5 teams make the most sense for Brandon Aiyuk? Well, at number 1 to me, it is the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens receiving room is pretty solid, and it's definitely gotten better, but Rashad Bateman, I believe, is a free agent. And Zay Flowers, I don't think is a number 1 receiver. I think he is an excellent number 2, but if you pair Brandon Aiyuk with Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews, pair him with Lamar Jackson, that Ravens team has one of the best supporting casts in all of football. Aiyuk is going to get a first-round pick. I don't think the 49ers deal him if it's not for a first-round pick, but I also think that the Ravens are in a bit of a tough spot because they pick, I believe, at number 29. That's not exactly great value for them. I think there are teams in the teams that are going to offer a pick. I know a lot of people are going to talk about the Carolina Panthers or the Tennessee Titans as potential options for Brandon Aiyuk, and while both of those teams make sense due to their cap situations, they have the money to extend him, I don't see the Titans trading the number 7 pick for Brandon Aiyuk. They have too many holes on that offensive line, and I don't think that changes that program. And the Panthers don't have a first-round pick to deal, so I don't think either of those teams are going to get in on the sweepstakes. The Ravens make sense because they have the money and they have the draft capital to pull it off, but I think the Niners are going to decline that Ravens offer just due to value of the pick. Another team that has been floated around a bit is the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders have a lot of ties to Brandon Aiyuk, as that some of the coaches that he played for in Arizona State are on that Raiders staff. The Raiders have a really solid receiver room as it is. You've got Devontae Adams, who is a top 5 receiver in the game. You've got Jacoby Myers, who I think is an incredible supporting option. And if you add Brandon Aiyuk, that is a 3rd receiver in that room that could be really tough for defenders to have to guard. They drafted Michael Mayer last year at tight end, and he showed some flashes of really solid potential, but hasn't exactly panned out just yet. You've got Josh Jacobs in the backfield, who I know is a pending free agent, but it looks like the Raiders have interest in bringing him back. And that could really help a young quarterback like Aiden O'Connell or if they decide to bring in a Russell Wilson type quarterback, that could help as well. I think Aiyuk as a third option there, second or third option there in Vegas would be lethal. And they have that number 13 pick that I think the Raiders and the Niners would both agree on. I don't see a reason why the Raiders would not do this deal. I know they've got some offensive line question marks, some defensive line question marks, but if you get to add one of the top young players in the league, I think you give up that 13 pick. I think that's a really good move for the Raiders. So they're another team that I've seen floated around. And I've seen the Jacksonville Jaguars floated around quite a bit as well. With Calvin Ridley being a free agent, things just didn't end up working there, and all signs seem to be pointing that Jacksonville don't have any intentions on bringing Ridley back. Trent Baalke comes from this 49ers system, and I could see them working a deal out to get Trevor Lawrence a true number one receiver with great size and speed on the outside, similar to Ridley, but I think he has just better body control, and he's more consistent than Ridley has been. This is a guy who's getting better each and every year, and he's only 26. I think Jacksonville makes a ton of sense. They got the number 17 pick. They're going to be all in trying to improve their roster, and I think this is a really good situation. You pair him with Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, which instantly makes them one of the more fun receiving trios in the league, and it gives them a one-up over Houston and Indianapolis in that division if you've got one of the best weapons. I think Jacksonville could be a great destination, and this will be a really good spot. Trevor Lawrence, coming off a bit of a down year, you got to get him some help, and I think Aiyuk could be that guy. We just mentioned the other team, and they are my team, and it is the Indianapolis Colts. I have been screaming for over a year. Brandon Aiyuk is going to end up in Indianapolis. He'll be playing with the horseshoe on his helmet next year. This is ultimately a deal that I could see going down. If we remember, it was Chris Ballard who made the deal for DeForest Buckner. They traded their first-round pick for a proven star, and it ended up working out as Buckner has been one of the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL. Aiyuk is exactly what the Colts need. They need a guy on the outside that can win down the field and win in the middle of the field. You've got Pittman, you've got Josh Downs, and you've got Alec Pierce. They're good receivers. Brandon Aiyuk is the exact type of player you need to surround Anthony Richardson with. Anthony Richardson has a higher ceiling than anybody in this league. If you can get him a number one receiver, this could be game-changing for him in his career. I think it turns the Colts into Super Bowl contenders. They've got the number 15 pick, which I think is a very valuable pick in this draft, in a deep receiver class where San Francisco could look to move Aiyuk for that number 15 pick and get another receiver, whether that's a Brian Thomas Jr., a Keon Coleman, or perhaps Malik Neighbors slides. I think Brandon Aiyuk in Indianapolis is a match made in heaven. They have I believe they are top 5 in the league in cap space as well. They have the money to extend him. This is the dream spot for both Aiyuk and the Colts. I think this is where Aiyuk would be utilized the best as well in this Steichen offense. And we saw what it was like when they got Jalen Hurts number 1. Let's see what it's like with Anthony Richardson. But the final team I think that makes sense are the Chicago Bears. The Bears have that number 9 pick, and they're looking for that another receiver to pair with, likely who it's going to be Caleb Williams as your quarterback. Aiyuk and DJ Moore could be a scary duo with Darnell Mooney in the slot, and now you've got them with Cole Kmet and an offensive line that took major strides in 2023. I think the Bears make quite a bit of sense as well. I think all of these teams should be on the phone with the San Francisco 49ers and John Lynch trying to get a deal to bring the 26-year-old to their program. But who do you guys think Brandon Aiyuk fits on? Where would you like to see him playing in 2024? And do you think the 49ers ultimately end up trading him? Let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.